As an American Jew, I feel incredibly strongly about speaking out about what Israel is perpetrating in Gaza. It is genocide, and it's being carried out with the full support of my government and with my tax dollars. So I felt a need to go to Bernie Sanders' office as a fellow progressive Jew, as someone who actually volunteered on his campaign in 2020, to demand that he speak out loudly and clearly for a ceasefire and to show some real leadership in Congress at a time that it's desperately, desperately needed. To say that I'm disappointed would be the understatement of the year. I'm actually incredibly infuriated and sad that he has not taken a stand on this. He called for a humanitarian pause, but only after Blinken did. And a pause is absolutely not sufficient in this time. There can be no pause to genocide. It needs to be stopped, and it needs to be stopped right now. People are so incredibly angry and sad and motivated. Many have dropped everything, including myself, to devote themselves full time to fighting for a ceasefire and fighting for an end to this violence, looking at the roots of this violence, which is the Israeli occupation and apartheid. It is absolutely unbearable to watch the way our government has enabled these atrocities to continue, is enabling genocide, is even talking about giving more aid to Israel, a blank check to perpetuate these horrific massacres and genocide and ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian people. And we are absolutely determined to keep the pressure up. And a lot of voters are really searching themselves to figure out how are they going to respond to this, because the Democratic Party, in particular the Biden administration, has been so horrific on this, so disappointing, and really taking a position that's not fundamentally different than the Republicans on this. He is absolutely jeopardizing his election in 2024. I think this is going to really put a lot of pressure on the Democratic Party to figure out what it actually stands for and to be responsive to the will of the people. It's going to be a very, very difficult road for him to ever get any goodwill from these groups in the face of his inaction and in the face of his enabling and voicing support for Israel and really not doing anything to stop this genocide. The two parties in many ways can hardly be distinguished from one another when it comes to these issues of Palestine and Israel. Yeah, the prospect of a second Trump presidency is absolutely terrifying, and I think as a voter, we are forced to choose between two very, very, very dismal prospects, and I can't say for sure how I'm going to behave a year from now in November 2024, but it is incredibly infuriating and frustrating to witness the political process right now and the way the two parties in many ways can hardly be distinguished from one another when it comes to these issues of Palestine and Israel.